So we'll make a little offering. So we'll have an intention, and you can have your intention to connect to all of these flower petals. And the intention is to shine so bright that darkness does not affect us. And that no matter how much darkness may exist in the seeming perceivable world, that all we see is the infinite light. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. So the Festival of Lights, Diwali, it's something that if we really understand, we can apply in our lives. That's what I was just we were setting an intention for. No matter even if there seems to be darkness all around, may we see the light. Because if we don't see the light, it's pretty hopeless. So if you don't see something good as a potential or a possibility, life can kind of get you down. It can seem pretty hopeless. But if you can see the light, then it's like even through the darkness. Could be maybe for you light at the end of the tunnel. So you might put up with the darkness, but you have hope that the light will come. And there's another more powerful state of consciousness, which is seeing the light even if the darkness seems to be asserting itself. So no matter how much darkness exists, the light for you is always there. So these are stages, of course, of our being. We have a dark part that can't see the light even if the sun's out. You know, you can be full sun, full happiness, great people, everything's wonderful, and for you there might just be depression, loneliness, isolation, darkness, sadness. And so it kind of seems like the mood isn't fitting with the environment. And there can also be a state on the other end of the spectrum where darkness and gloom and hurricanes and forest fires and end of the world destruction is, happening. And all you see is the positivity behind it all, like the reason for life, the reason for living, the choice to be positive, the choice of integrity over the lack thereof, the choice to be positive instead of negative, the choice to be loving instead of hateful. So we always are presented in our life with these choices. None of us do them perfectly. So we have to have these holidays to keep on reminding us over and over and over again what it really means to be a spiritual seeker, to be looking for pure positivity, spiritual seeker, transcendental positivity, a positivity that is not affected by the forms of life, positivity that is kind of eternal. I know we all have a different idea of that term, but Positivity that no matter what happens, nothing can touch it, nothing can influence it, nothing can affect it. If you're that positive, you influence others with positivity, but nothing touches you. You're beyond. So transcendental means not kind of in the world of form as we know it. It stands kind of beyond this realm, but can operate through it. So then, when we are celebrating certain themes in any festival, and in this one, light, overcoming darkness, which is kind of the theme. If you look at all the festivals, light, overcoming darkness. The idea is to continue to work on generating this state of heart, this state of mind, this state of consciousness, this way to live and be. Then you can be placed anywhere in the cosmos and you will always be perfectly pure, happy, content, peaceful, joyful, positive, loving, caring. Just every positive trait you can imagine is always there in surplus. You never run out. You don't even try to be positive. You can't stop it. You can't hold it back. So this level of positivity, it's different than what a normal human mind would think of. Normal human mind would think of positivity like, okay, I'll be me, and then I'll be positive. The transcendental or spiritual positivity is beyond the sense of you. So what does that mean? Beyond the sense of you. So everything you sense right now is you listening to this. You and your environment. You and your life. You and your family. You and your relationships. It's all centered around you. That's how you perceive life. It's all about you. It's all around you. And then the views that you have of life are your views that you have about life. So they're your views. So even if you have a positive view, it's still the way that you have chosen to feel about something. But a transcendental positivity is beyond viewpoint. It's beyond trying to think positive. It's beyond trying to feel positive. Though when you're in the realm of the mind and the normal emotional range, it's kind of, it's all we got. So we have to look at life and choose to be grateful for things. We have to choose to see the light when there is darkness seemingly around us or in us or anywhere. We have to choose to see the positivity. So basically, these festivals remind us of a choice that we can make. Anyone can sit, depressed on the couch and just say, life is hard, and do nothing. The do nothing approach is very easy. You just do nothing. It requires nothing of you. However, it requires a lot of you. It's requiring your soul. You're suffering constantly. So it looks like it requires nothing of you, no added effort. But it's really sucking the life, out of oneself. So that's not the way to go about increasing the happiness within us, the joy, the light. So if we choose to look at the positivity in life and constantly remind ourselves of the positivity that is built into all aspects of life, we become more and more positive. It's like the same idea of chanting. So if you have a particular mantra, then you chant it and it says whatever it says. Let's just imagine that as an English kind of sentence. Even though mantra is way beyond this, but just to boil it down. So let's imagine every day you say, I am sad, I am depressed, life is horrible, it's not worth much, what's the point of living? You're probably going to depress yourself pretty quickly. You discourage yourself immediately, and there's long-term implications of thinking in such a way. So you become lower and lower every day. And, some days you do better than other days, so you sink lower. So then when you just reverse that and try to contemplate and truly tap into what if there is positivity and life force everywhere in all of this. And maybe everything has a reason, it all has a purpose, there's a reason for this. If you look for the meaning, you look for the value, you look for the positivity, you become more positive. So where the whole world says there's nothing positive there, your mind and heart says, sure there is. So if every day you say, life is wonderful, life is great, there's something always to be thankful for, not just one thing a day, like endless things a day. The only thing that limits us is our imagination. So every day if you say a positive thing, eventually, 10 years, if you said a positive thing every day, probably at the end of 10 years, you'd feel like a part of that is a very deep, etched-in belief. So what you choose to align with, what energy, what consciousness, what purpose, what way of believing, way of thinking, way of relating, way of feeling, what you choose to, the energy that you allow to live through you and animate you, is essentially what you become. It's a choice. It's not an accident. If you're a positive person, you have chosen positivity. If you are a negative person, you have chosen negativity. You might have said, no, I don't choose negativity. But you didn't choose positivity. So then what did you choose? You don't become negative because you're choosing to be positive. Maybe there's a process and purification that you go through, and you have ups and down time in your life, and that does happen. But it should produce something very positive in the end. And if that's not really happening, then we have to reassess how are we really thinking and feeling and relating in life. So we have this immense opportunity to not just become more positive in this life, but to tap into the transcendental state of positivity, where you lose yourself and all that you become is pure positivity. There's no boundary to you. So, like the story of, I'm hoping most of you know this, which I think most do. There might be a few that might not, but there's a story of, how am I going to sum this up? It's a very long story. But the story with Rama and Sita, and the whole process of he was going to be, basically his coronation ceremony was going to be held, he was going to become the king, and some stuff happened, let's just say, and then things changed. He was exiled instead. Pretty interesting turn of events. Most people would react. The way they said that he took that was with an even demeanor and said, basically, as you wish, Father. Like, most people don't do anything near that. So that takes a certain type of a person. So you have to kind of think about that. Now he's an avatar, so he's not a normal person, divine incarnation. So is Sita. That gets less recognition for some reason, I don't know why. But both are playing this cosmic game. So then they get exiled 14 years in the forest. This huge tragedy happens. Eventually Sita's kidnapped. Sita is, Rama's wife, so she goes with him because she wants to be by his side. She didn't have to go. She chose to go. So that's strength. That's positivity, purity. Then, if that isn't hard enough for most people, then you can call him the demon king, Ravan, comes and kidnaps Sita. He's used to taking whatever he wants. He's a highly developed siddha, so he has a lot of abilities and can control the elements and do whatever he wants in his kingdom and in his terrain, and supposedly beyond. So highly yogically developed, but not enlightened. Whereas, as Swamiji states it, Rama is highly yogically developed and enlightened. Very different. So Sita's kidnapped. Rama is needing to go on this quest to go find his beloved wife that is now missing. And eventually, just to fast forward a lot, he eventually defeats the demon kingdom, the lower negative forces, and then is finished with the exile, and then comes back. So then on the return journey, that is, one of the ways of looking at Diwali. It's this beautiful story that is inside of this. All of the villagers were holding lights and lighting the way back and inviting their beloved, Sita and Rama. So it's this dark period for the kingdom, actually, even though one might say for Rama and Sita, when you're a divine incarnation, what is darkness? You're broadcasting your human ideas, so you're mixing it up. But that's another way of going into a deeper thing. But so for the kingdom itself, that was a dark time, because what happened was it got so twisted in the motives and the politics inside of the kingdom that the exile happened, which exiled the divinity. So the divinity was kicked out. So when the divinity is gone inside of any entity, such as ourselves, that means that our kingdom is corrupt. If you do not feel everything as your infinite eternal self, which is pure positivity and love and goodness and bliss and joy, peace, if you don't feel everything as yourself, that means that your kingdom or yourself is corrupt. You might not know how. You might say, hey, that's not fair. I'm a good person. I try not to do anything bad, etc., etc. It doesn't matter, though. There is some way. It might not be as corrupt as other kingdoms, other people. But within yourself, if you do not experience yourself as all of this and all of these beings are you, then that means somewhere inside of you, you are corrupt. You are lost. You are your awareness is broken. You're not conscious of this divine reality. So that's more interesting during these festivals to really study, is to see, okay, I have exiled the divinity from me. I am the kingdom that just went corrupt. I have lost. I know it can sound a little bit depressing. We're here to celebrate. But you got to get to the end. So to know this is a huge kind of winning piece of the battle. To know this. So there's this. So Rama's brother was left to rule instead, and instead of him sitting on the throne, he put Rama's the sandals, to use that term, there as a sign of respect in who's actually ruling. So he wants the divine to rule. He didn't want to rule. This is a sign of the ego saying, I don't want to rule. I want the divine to be in charge. It's an invocation. We do this a lot. So everything that we do is a way of inviting the grace in. Why do you need to invite the grace in? Why isn't it there already? I mean, technically, if you want to get really philosophical, it is there. But if you don't experience it to you, it's not there. So on this way of looking at it, why have you not allowed the divine to exist within you at all times, all incarnations, all experiences in life? Why have you not allowed it to exist? Which means you would feel yourself as that, self-identified with being that. So you are that divinity, but you don't see it. And this, when I say this, I know in today's world, a lot of people take it and they fantasize and make believe that they are that. That's not what we do here. In a true spiritual tradition, you really analyze this and you really analyze what is divinity and what is kind of personality. What is the ego? So getting a clear sense on, okay, great, now that I know what state my kingdom is in or my queendom is in, or both, doesn't matter, but the way that I run things somehow is not, I'm not choosing to follow the divine dictates, I'm choosing to follow my own. So why and how could I have exiled the divine power from me? And what do I need to do, which is more important, to re-invoke that divine grace, to get it back into the throne? How do I get that in there? And so one of the things that is a huge focus is, this is something that you've heard me state before, but this is talking about installing the divine presence. If you wish to install the divine presence, you must first make your house clean. That means you. So, but for Diwali, we do it actually to our homes, but also to ourselves. So this isn't something that is just figurative thinking or an analogy or beautiful poetry. This is a real thing to apply. So you really clean yourself. You really clean your house. What you do externally should be a reflection of what you do internally. It shouldn't be so split. You also don't want to do too much on the outside but forget the inside, and you don't want to do, which happens to other people too, on the other side. They do too much inside, they do nothing outside. So it's just an imbalance. You want to make sure that you've got the complete picture. So when we are getting into this holiday, this holy day, this festival, this celebration, it's a time where we can say, yeah, I really want the divine light to reestablish its dominance, its role in my life. I don't want to run this thing according to my own egoic show, my own politics, my own belief of what's right, what's wrong, and how life needs to be lived, and how people need to be, and how the world needs to be, and who cares? You can manage yourself, but you can't manage other people. You can master yourself, and that's what makes you wise, but trying to master other people, that's what makes you a fool. So it's like, it's a normal quote. So one who tries to master themselves is a true jnani, wise being, and one who tries to like conquer the world or master the world is an idiot. So that's basically the... So the beauty of this festival is that you can link with how bad, with the light and this whole process of cleansing. It's like you can link it up with how bad do you want the divine rule reestablished in and through you. Because just to do a festival is nice and they pass quick, and there's a lot of them. The depth to which you understand a festival is how deeply it acts upon you, in you, through you. The more superficial you treat it, it's like it doesn't go very far because you didn't really understand what you were doing. And it's very easy to point to stories and say, oh, that's so beautiful, and oh, I love that part, and the music was great, and this, hopefully. You might not like any of it. But this and that, and there may be a lot of parts that you enjoy, or it might be a very good poetic thing, which is nice. But shouldn't poetry live through you? Shouldn't you be walking poetry, dancing poetry, singing poetry, living poetry? That's what spirituality is. It's really kind of living poetically, being tied into that infinite life. So then when we have the lights, they're reminders to you that this light lives within you. This light lives outside of you. This light lives within each and every one of us. Every animal, every bug, every plant, everything in life, and every seeming inert thing that you wouldn't consider conscious or living, doesn't matter. The infinite light is all-pervasive, Vishwa, all-pervasive, runs through it all. So then we have to make a conscious choice of trying to see. When you feel like you can't see, that's your veil. You can't see the light. You can't see the positivity. You can't see. So then when you try to see, it's like taking a hammer to like a hardened mass or a shell and just kind of trying to crack it open. So that it gives you this ability to see, oh my God, how could I not have seen that? It's like having those aha moments or those revelations where you never saw something a certain way. One day, you see something a certain way. And you're like, how could I have not seen it that way before? That's what life is. That's what growth in mind and heart, emotions, consciousness, personality, that's how it occurs. You develop insight and you get to see what you couldn't have seen before. So the whole spiritual path is one of revelation. There's a revealing. As you peel back the ignorance of your mind or break through it, the truth that was covered by that veil of ignorance is revealed. It comes forward. So the entire spiritual path is a revealing or a revelation. It's constantly revealing itself to you bit by bit. When you take away the ignorance, the avidya, the ignorance, the lack of knowing. So when you don't know, not informationally, but by experience itself, when you don't know what it is to be the divine, that means you're ignorant of the divine. So in this tradition, Vedic and Vedantic tradition, it's one of not knowing about. It's one of submerging into and becoming that. It's about letting go of all of your, preconceived notions, experiences, history, memories, everything that you're holding on to. Just letting go of those feelings of separation. Because if this separation, those mechanisms that push and pull, if those are gone, then you just relax into your natural state of being. Sahaj Samadhi. Naturalness, spontaneous, no plan, no choice. You're just naturally what you've always been. So no artifices or personality things on top that block you from being yourself. So then we're going to talk about kind of that essence being applied. So this is supposed to be a festival where you really enjoy your time. You eat sweets and clean your house. I know some people might say, oh, clean your house. Are you kidding me? I thought I was supposed to enjoy this. Some people love cleaning their house. But the idea is that this is a time for discipline to cleanliness, discipline to the invocation of the divine, discipline of keeping your mind fixated on the coming home of Rama and Sita, the divine nature of pure consciousness and Shakti coming into your heart, into your life, back to your kingdom or queendom or both. Let it come back in. Look at your life and see the dirty parts of the kingdom. That means externally and internally, and see which parts might be constantly pushing out. For instance, with spirituality, many times if it's a choice to meditate or do something else in your life, usually meditation is like a distant second or third or fourth, or maybe next week, maybe next year. It's very common that there are so many big stories, and I've told one too, about someone who I said, here's some books and you can start the path. The person read them. The next time when they gave the books back, said, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's really the kind of spirituality I believe in, kind of Vedantic and Vedic. And said, great, no one's asking this person to sign up or become a member of anything. And just say, so, are you applying any of the practices that you read in the book or this, that, and the other? And no, I really don't really have a lot of time. That's the normal thing. I really don't have a lot of time in my life. Remember, this is your soul we're talking about. This is not like a car that needs to be fixed, that sits in your driveway and you don't really need to drive it because you have another one. This is like your soul. This is what empowers you. This is what lives through your mind. It lives through your body. It lives through your heart. It lives through you. This is your life connection. To not take care of that is inviting death, inviting chaos, inviting stupidity, inviting, everything negative that you don't want. So to kind of say, well, I don't really have time for it means what? So then I said for this person, I was like, well, when do you foresee that you might have time? I was just interested. I don't push, so I wasn't proselytizing or something. I was just curious, naturally. And said, oh, probably when this and that in my life, big things in their life close up and they get it done. Great. Okay. And I said, how long do you think that will be? Like, I don't know, 3 to 5 years. It's been 20 years and they have not done anything. 20 years. Nothing has been done at all. So when you generate a passion for development and growth, that's the time to take it. And you got to go far in. You don't lose that spark. If you do, it might not generate again in this lifetime. If that person doesn't choose to do it, maybe in the next 10 years they won't have an opportunity. They might not be alive. So it's very serious stuff. You're not playing around with a hobby. So spirituality is not a hobby. It's not like a thing that you do or a belief system. It's a choice to be alive. It's a choice to live through yourself fully. Find that pure joy. It gets referred to as that causeless state of bliss. Causeless joy. So when it's objectless, not because anything triggered it in you, but you're the state of joy itself. Nothing triggers it in you. You enjoy because you are joy. You are the enjoyer. So that's something just to keep in mind through this whole, through any festival. I usually go straight to the practical side of the philosophy, and I spend less time on the stories around it. There's some people that that talk all about the stories, and it does always convey a beautiful point. But sometimes we don't know what that means for us and how we can do something for our own sanity and growth. So this is how we can apply. And that's what these stories show. So number one, you have exiled the divinity from your own heart, soul, and mind. So the question would be, why? So, hard-hitting question for a celebration. But you have to ask these things, because why are you doing the celebration? Right? If you really want to install the divine presence within yourself, then you need to ask yourself some pretty serious questions. So, it's not enough if we've had a spiritual experience. That's not the same as divinity. That's on the way. It's like the kingdom's over there, and you're walking there, and you went a couple steps in, and you came across a fair, and there's a lot of fun happening, and you had a spiritual experience on the road. That's it. That's all that is. That's not the end point. Divinity is way down there, so to speak. So a lot of people in this world get so stuck onto they had an experience. Just keep walking. That's what Swamiji always says. So you had an experience. This is literally what he was saying in Rishikesh when we had a retreat. So you had some experience of the divine. So what? Keep walking. So you think you've been in samadhi and this and that, or you're some great healer. So what? Keep walking. So you can keep going with all parts of your life. So you've succeeded in life. So you've made $1 million. So what? Keep walking. It's a very important thing to think about, because anytime you settle and say, okay, I'm just going to get all the things I want in my life and then I'll be happy and comfortable. Well, when life is over, what comfort do you take with you? Because now all the objects you've attained are gone. If you don't have inner comfort, you're going to be very sad when it's over. You will only experience deep loss and grief. So then in this life, if we, he's just looking at me like, is this the message for celebration? But we don't want to experience that, is the point. And so when we understand like kind of what hangs in the balance, we can get very serious about our path and have great success, spiritually speaking, on our path. And that's really why we would want to do these holidays. So for instance, would you want to do a holiday where you don't grow? And you do them for your whole life and they're fun, but you don't grow? Or would you like to do a holiday where you do 2 or 3 in your life? They're all beautiful, but each time you grew to such a point where you saw the divine everywhere and acting through all things. And a very beautiful thing. Then your whole life becomes a celebration. By seeing, truthfully what is, you can say happening, but just what is. Then your whole life is a celebration. Everything is of the divine work, the divine hands. It's all unfolding, according to the lines of karma, and it's just such an interesting, beautiful thing. So that is the reason why we have these celebrations. Often they get put into more of a fantastical state by people, and it turns into, yes, triumph over the negativity. That can be put in a lot of political places for people. That can be put in a lot of religious places, very kind of like, I don't know why I can't think of the term right now, it's a pretty common one, but fanatical. You can become very fanatical, fight, let's win, let's overcome evil, and it's like, again, trying to conquer the world without trying to understand yourself and conquer yourself and your own motivations and looking into whether or not the way that you see is even clear. It's a very important thing. To not go out and try to go fix the world when you haven't even fixed yourself. Get clear. Understand really what your aim is in life. So these festivals are really pointing to the absolute divine principles. But very easily they turn into stories. Because they are stories, but they're illustrating huge divine principles. So whenever you see a light, you can kind of see it as that. Like that spark of pure consciousness. And if you see lights everywhere, it's hard not to forget it. Like you see it and it's like there's candles everywhere. There's lights everywhere. And when you see the decorations that are put at the doorsteps, which you can do it with flowers, you can do it with chalk. We have a lot of cats that were walking around here, so we're going to do it with flowers because they'll just take chalk everywhere. But you can adapt, you can do what you need to do. And these are ways of trying to create a space that is deeply meaningful to you. So, getting into the practical side of what you can do for the holiday, these are your reminders you're doing to yourself. So when you are cleaning your house, it's supposed to be mirroring cleaning your mind, cleaning your consciousness, cleaning your soul, cleaning your heart, cleaning your old wounds, your old baggage, like everything that shouldn't be in the kingdom or the queendom. It shouldn't be there. It should go. It's time to clean up. So then when you do the cleaning, then you can have that as your state of mind. So literally, this is the holiday where you're going to be cleaning your house. I mean, there's other ones, but this is one of the primary focuses. So you clean your clothes, you do all the stuff that maybe a lazy mind wouldn't do. You clean your clothes, you clean your kitchen, you clean your front patio even, you clean maybe around your house, clean the cobwebs off the side of your house. Some people are like, oh, okay, I'm not signing up for this again. You can do this to whatever degree you want, but the thing is that you're doing this to invite the principle of the divine, of Lakshmi, the abundance principle. This is not gold, this is, you're inviting, the abundance of perfection, of seeing everything, life is beautiful. You're trying to like wash your consciousness clean so that you can fully participate with the divine game that's always unfolding with you, through you, around you at all times, but you're not somehow seeing it and you can't participate with it. If you think that you're you and other people are people and that's the end of the story and God's somewhere over there, you're out of the ballpark. You're not even in the divine territory. You're creating ideas for yourself, fantasies that don't exist like that. So you end up kind of harming yourself with that type of separative thinking. So then when we look at everything very symbolic, it's extremely essential to growth. If you look at the world around you as meaningless, and that just your inner path is meaningful, there's a lot of ways that's not going to work for you. And if you look at how things look on the outside is most meaningful, but the inside is not that important, it's really not going to work out for you. You have to do both. It's hard to do. It is hard to do, but you somehow got to figure it out. Everyone's got to figure it out. So we can be lighthearted about it because none of us can do it perfectly. So, okay. So let's just try our best. So then, the idea is you open all the doors and the windows. And you are doing this symbolically, but also when you're doing something inside of like a spiritual event, like actually consecrated or a blessed event, it takes on a new meaning. Because instead of just opening the doors and hoping that the divine will enter, when you open the windows and the doors, the divine enters. It might take me a lot of explaining to try to make that believable to some people. But if you look at this whole world as more like a dream and less like just a bunch of real things, it makes more sense to how things like this can happen. Because it's more like you're in a program, you're in a computer game, less like you're in a reality, that it's just a bunch of hard objects and nothing can happen else other than what you see. What you see is what you get. In this world, what you see is part of what you get. What you don't see is also what you get. So we're opening up to grace in a different way, opening up to life in a different way. So when you open the doors, you can chant a mantra, or you can just have an intention, or in English, you can just open a window. You don't have to do it like this. I'm just giving an example, but you can open a window, put your hands in prayer, and just saying, Mata Lakshmi, Mother Lakshmi, or the divine Shakti of, all good things, please come in my house, open that window, do the next one, oh Mata Lakshmi, please come in my house, open the next one, you go through and make it meaningful practice. The kind of Diwali where you go around cleaning everything and you're just like, oh, I gotta get it clean, that's not helping you, making you frantic. It's stressing you out. Because for what? To get a clean house? You forgot to clean the inside. So go back and do it again. So the idea is to link. So you don't want to clean your house. I guess if you have to, you have to in some days. But you don't want to clean your house while keeping the inside dirty. Like, for instance, that's one of the spiritual tenets or way of living and working, doing seva and living your life. You don't do your necessary obligations or responsibilities while grumbling through it. I don't want to do this, because then that's the energy. You're doing something helpful, but there's all this background current that's not helpful for you and for anyone else. You're emitting that into the space. So yes, maybe you vacuumed the floor, but you emitted this, I hate vacuuming the floor energy all throughout the room. So you soiled it in a different way. Energetically, it's been, clogged. So, so finding how you can become a part of the external cleansing process with the internal cleansing process. How do you sync it up, link the two? I'm telling you, it can transform the way that you clean, and it turns the basic actions in your life, it's like sweeping a floor, vacuuming, washing some dishes, turns it into a meditation. Meditation is not just a relaxed state of mind. It's a way of experiencing the depths of consciousness as you do a basic action. It's no longer basic to you. It's like the cosmos is using the sponge and scrubbing part of itself called the plate. And using the sponge, which is a part of itself, scrubbing the plate. Like everything becomes you. You start experiencing the depths of yourself running through everything. Rather than, I'm a human washing this plate, I really don't like doing this, I wish it was fun. And then next plate, I'm a human, I really hate doing this, I guess I gotta watch a plate because I was asked, I gotta do it, okay fine, it's a responsibility, okay fine. Done. I'm gonna go watch YouTube. You have to really learn how to enjoy life. If you can't enjoy life in the most simplest of things, like, washing a dish. Like when we were kids, we used to love playing in bubbles and water and bath time and sprinklers and so you're just playing with bubbles and water washing dishes. Like, what's the difference? I mean, people might be arguing that point. But you get the gist, is that can you restore that beauty, that understanding to what you do, that experience? So the spiritual path isn't about just meditating and shutting off to life and then thinking that life is useless and you're going to find God some other way. God's right in front of your eyes all the time. It's inside, outside you always. Why don't you see? That's your ignorance. That's your wrong perception, wrong experience. So we try to correct it. We try to go from avidya, the ignorance, this way that we chronically see and are stuck and not experience the divine, to vidya. So we can see and experience. It's not about knowing about, yes, God is everywhere. That philosophy doesn't help you an ounce unless you actually apply and say, okay, I heard that the divine is everywhere. How can I see it in this? How can I see it in the tree? How can I see it in the grass? How can I see it in the cat? How can I see it in the, So you choose to see. You open your eyes and see the divine light everywhere. So when we light is often used as like a symbol for your consciousness, because it is light, and as you so to speak, as you are aware, you are lighting up what you see. So you see because it's in the light of your own awareness. If there was no light, it'd be in the dark, you don't see. So it's unconscious to you. So by choosing to be aware or conscious or awake, you're choosing to invoke the light, use the light. So it's like if you go into a dark cave or a room or something and the lights don't work in there, especially in a cave, but in your room, if the lights don't work in there, best thing to do, light a candle, bring it in, see where you're going, So that's what we're doing. This is symbolic to, please Lord, light the way, as a way of using that terminology. Some people don't like the word Lord, but this festival is very much tied to cleansing ourselves, invoking the grace and trying to, in a way, line ourselves with the light. One way of looking at it is all of your energy centers, all of the chakras could be looked at as the light of your consciousness, of your growth and transformation, of seeing, feeling, relating, living correctly. And if those are lit, then the Sushumna Nadi, the central path, is the divine path that those forces are coming back to sit at their rightful place at the crown chakra, the Sahasrara chakra. So there's a lot of ways of looking at this. If you want to slice it esoterically or just, kind of in the poetry of life and how we apply, there's so many ways of really looking at this. But the bottom line is the depth to which you understand yourself and life, or God, or whatever you want to call it, divinity. The depth to which you understand and experience, not just understand conceptually, but that you actually understand, meaning experience that depth that is throughout all of this life, and you and everyone else just the same. There's a certain reverence that builds in you for all beings, not just for people, but for the trees. This is like the gesture, the yogic gesture, of recognizing divinity in everything. So, but you don't just do it to people. You can hold this mudra and say namaste, or think of it, or feel it, or just have the mood of it, and think of it with the tree. I know the divine is there. I know the divine is there. I know the divine is there. And really trying to feel, really trying to break through your experiential limitations to experience that, yes, in fact, the divine is there. Then you'll feel the homecoming. The divinity is coming home. You start to see it. It's like a glimpse. Not that you have to see some forms walking at you, but you feel yourself kind of relaxing into the cosmos, into what you have always been. So this is your own homecoming, if you will. One part of you are all the villagers that are desperately waiting for the divine. That's all the parts of you that would pray, please God, come back, help me out. Times of need, feeling destitute and like God is so far away and, banished from the kingdom and can't come back for X amount of years, etc. And then you have other parts that are more spiritually connected and involved in the whole thing, which I didn't talk about that, but like Hanuman and, Sugriv and so many beings that were kind of a part of the process of overcoming the darkness. And then we have the dark part, the Ravan part within us that kind of kidnaps purity and divinity and holds it hostage for weird reasons. And it's like we're kind of a mix of a lot of voices, of a lot of different perspectives within our mind. So understanding that you have low parts and you have high parts, you have everything in between, you have all of these, and they're all kind of like this, congealing in the mind, doing different things, communicating. And it's a good thing to sit down and check in and see how you feel and what your mind is thinking, and where's your compass at? Where's your spiritual compass at? Where's your spiritual GPS? So you want to make sure you're going in the right direction. So when we do these practices, there are ways of trying to attune further, attune deeper into it all. So then one of the things to do, you can start tonight if you want, get a head start, sort of. Or you could do it earlier today, roll back the clock. But at any time, whenever you have the time for it. But for something like this, you make the time. So clean your house, clean your clothes, clean the dishes, sweep the patio, spray off your patio if you have one, wash your car if you need to. Sometimes people will buy, it's common, you go buy new clothes and you wear the new clothes instead of the old clothes, so then you have something that you wear. You want to be able to love your life and appreciate your life. This isn't about indulgence, it's about simple things. It's just clothes, it's just this, some food, some this, but it's mostly about focusing on how amazing life is. If you don't see and experience how amazing life is, in the good and the bads, what people call bad and what people call good, if you don't experience how amazing life is through both those phases, then there's something that needs to be fixed within you. There's something that doesn't see things right. And the mind might say, no, everyone sees it like this. It's just a fact. There's good and bad things. Well, if everyone else isn't seeing the divine nature, then why trust that opinion? If you trust the opinion of other people, the other 99.9 repeating % of the people on earth that don't experience God, which that's what it is. It's a very high number. It's not like there's a lot of people that experience the divine. But, if we just trust what other people experience, you'd never go beyond that normal, basic human consciousness, which is rooted in desire, fear, comfort seeking, pain avoidance, like procreation. Like, it's just all the normal things that people do. It's not really, at the end of the day, survival, comfort, procreation. That's not different from an animal in the wild. So what are you doing that's different from an animal? You might say, but I have a house. Who cares if you have a house? You're still doing survival, comfort, procreation. Like, you're not doing anything different. So when are you going to evolve your spiritual sense, going beyond the basics of life? Because those are the basics. You might say, but no, you don't understand. I've done so many things in my life. Survival, comfort, procreation. And it's all built in with fear, clinging to life. Constant pain avoidant, pleasure-seeking lifestyle. That's what every other living conscious being does, even an amoeba. So if you want to be different than basic life, how are you going to transform out of that?
So there's a question from Caitlin. She says, earlier you talked about installing the divine in ourselves. Can you speak to the difference between that versus celebrating the divine that's already innately in each of us?
It's the same thing, it just depends on the point of view. So for instance, the divine is within you, but if you wake up in the morning and you don't feel it in you, it's hard to celebrate that it's there. You might be in a naysayer mindset, I don't really feel it within me. So the point is to find the divine however you can find it, inside or outside. The thing here to see is that when you find the divine outside, you find it inside. And if you find it inside, you find it outside. Because the divine is not in one or the other place. It's not inside or outside. Those terms don't apply. It's not a number. It's not a location. That which has no form can't be stuffed in a human or put outside of the human, excluded from the human. It's everywhere. It's all pervasive is the term, but even that's not a good term, because then you start thinking of things that aren't God, and it pervades through things that aren't God and puts God in things, which isn't how it is either. So it's just, there's a big block with terminology, but if you feel like pure on the inside, the idea of worshiping the divine within, that sounds kind of easy in that moment. If you wake up and you feel really like you had a hard night and your emotions are flat, your mind is confused and dark, you don't really know the way, to say I'm going to worship the divine within is kind of, you're a little bit going to have a hard time believing that. So it's easier to focus on the divine beyond. It doesn't have to be outside, but it could be through the body of a saint or an avatar or an image or an idea or the concept of the all-pervasive reality, because that sounds like it's possible, because it ain't happening here, so maybe it happens there. Sometimes if you're around your family, you can't feel it at all. You walk into nature, you can. It's not your family's fault. It's your own associations. They're too low. So if you would raise them, then you can feel it through your family. You don't need to go anywhere to find God, but the trick is you don't find God normally, therefore there's something wrong with the way that you associate with life and yourself, others, and the whole game, the whole process. So if you want to focus on it like finding the divine within or finding the divine without, invoking the divine, there's two things we do, namo nama, finding the God within ourselves and outside. Same. And they look different, finding God within, namo, and finding God without, nama. But they're the same. It's a relative way of perceiving that helps you find a terminology that's more fitting for the moment. So practices are momentary. It depends on what fits. If you're in a really high emotional state, probably just to do bhakti, some sort of yoga that's helping with that, is the way to go. But if you're feeling emotionally flat, to tell somebody and they're hating spirituality and you're like, love the Lord, you're like, this is not for me. I've seen this happen for the last 20 years, people coming in and out of satsangs and groups, and just, it's all because of their own preferences. Here's the thing though, your preferences, I know everyone feels that they matter, they don't matter. If you live your life according to your preferences of how you want to find God, that might sound fun and appealing, but it limits you in so many ways. You're not your preferences. Your preferences are old baggage that you don't know how to get past, so then beings, that are, carrying and are that divinity, give a practice inside of your box, because it's the easiest way to seek, because somehow you don't know how to get over the hurdle. the easiest thing is Aham Brahmasmi. So you're Brahman. Period. Done. End. Over. But then if you don't experience that, then something's not working. So then you might say, but I don't feel like I'm Brahman. Okay, fine. So just focus on Brahman. Everything in life is Brahman, but you're not included. You can include yourself whenever you feel emotionally lifted to that same height. But you'll have to lift that too, that focus. So it's a whole process, and finding God, invoking God, and evoking. Invoking is when you don't feel it in, ask for it to come in. If you do feel it within, ask it to come up and come out. So you just attune in whatever way makes sense to you in the moment. So it's a momentary practice. All right, so a couple things to do. One, clean your house. Talked about that one. The other one is, if you want to do the rangolis, take some chalk, and you can draw beautiful designs by the threshold of the door, back door, front door, side door, whatever door you got, the main entrance, by windowsills. You can do wherever you want, really. There's no actual limit. But the idea is you're inviting beauty in, all the beautiful energy. If you have the consciousness of beauty, everything you see is beautiful. That's what you're inviting. The lower human interpretation is I'm inviting beauty in. It needs to look a certain way. That's not going to work long term. It might not even work short term. So the lower human ideas and desires, those impulses have to go. We're inviting the consciousness of beauty. You can see everything as beautiful. It really is. So why not just invoke, the consciousness of beauty? See everything as beautiful, as enjoyable, as perfect as it is. Like you have that ability. So then when you draw, you're invoking that divine state of consciousness of beauty, the abundance of that, the abundance of seeing and experiencing joy and wisdom and goodness and love and positivity everywhere. So you can draw these beautiful designs. It can be your own thing. We used to do this in front of the other location we used to hold at Hamsa, and we would just have people draw whatever they wanted to draw. Some people would draw like a star with a spacecraft in the middle. Who might argue? Well, they can draw what you're gonna draw, But people would draw whatever was meaningful for them, and that's meaningful for them. And someone else next draws something that has more like cartoon characters in it. But the idea is that you're drawing something that to you is like an expression of this beauty and an invocation. There are reasons for guidelines and for learning the craft of how to do these. There are reasons, such as like yantra type idea. But, in American kind of consciousness, you kind of give some freedoms. Do what you're going to do. Let's see what happens. But you can draw according to your own ability, however you want, in front of your own threshold of your door. That the idea is that you're doing it in a prayerful state of your inviting in beauty. Inviting in this pure, lovely consciousness that rewrites the script of your own mind, where everything you see is just wonderful, just lovely. So you have that ability. It's just right underneath the surface of all the judgments, is how you would naturally see. All the ideas of what's good and what's not, what's beautiful and what's ugly. That's just superficial nonsense. If we just get rid of that or go deeper and reveal the truth, that you see that everything is so beautiful and it's all one. It's not a bunch of separate characters and things. It's just this one beautiful reality. Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, So that is a way that you can work with invoking. So you clean the house first, then, as much as you can, then draw the designs around the thresholds, maybe the windows too. It's whatever you want to do. Open the doors, open all the windows. If you have cats and dogs, put them in a special room. Not the closet, put them somewhere. It's okay if you don't open the doors to that room, that's fine. But the concept is to open your house. This is your house. That means it's like opening your heart to God, opening your mind to God, opening your soul to God, opening your emotions, opening your life, your personality to God. Open yourself and invite in that grace. And yes, it's within you. And you can see it both ways, however it suits you. But so when you open the doors and the windows, think of it as I'm opening myself to the divine. This house is just it's like a puja. You're using something as a symbol and a connection point of how to open yourself. So every window you open, you're opening yourself. If you want every window just to be the heart, okay, open the heart, open the heart, open. Fine. It's fine. Repetitious practice is what we do anyway. So clean everything, make beautiful designs at the thresholds, and then, cook some good food, and you can have some sweets and some things that you also offer to the divine. You kind of want to treat it like Lakshmi's coming. This beautiful divine consciousness is coming. Let me make her some beautiful food. Which, then when the time passes and it's still going to be there, then you can eat it as prasad. So you can kind of partake in that way. So you can create food for the whole day, whatever you want. Just make it healthy and nice and light, and you can do this for all the days. You probably don't have a lot of greasy, oily things. It's not usually, it's usually not healthy and good for your mind anyway, or your body. So then, I think it's probably a lot for people who've never done this before, to even, the cleaning the house thing probably was enough, but so clean as much as you can. If you're not going to do everything or it's just too hard, I understand. If you're in transition, moving from place to place, okay, fine. But do what you can. Clean whatever you own. Maybe wear like a new shirt, new pants, new clothes or something for the next day. Don't go on a crazy shopping spree and just spend tons of money. We're talking about simple, like $10, $20 shirt or something like that, and for some people that might be too much. So you don't need to spend even that much. It's just the idea is clean, meaning new. You're not taking the old into this new chapter. That's the idea. You got to really watch all the things that you say. You never know how it's going to be treated. It's like, oh, he said go on a shopping spree. It's like, no. All right. So the other thing is, you can do this in the mind, or if you have a statue of like Lakshmi or any other statue, is kind of fine too. It's kind of fine. It's God is God kind of thing, but you're invoking different qualities. But if you have a statue of Lakshmi, and if you have a picture of Swamiji, you can do some arati to both, and asking for your space to be blessed, your house to be blessed, your car to be blessed. And after you do the arati, have some prayer time, a little bit of maybe contemplation on the real reality that this is, and then ask for it to impart in every room that you walk through, and then take the candle to every single room to impart that energy to each thing. If you want to light a candle for every room, fine, fire hazard wise, because I don't want to be that person who tells people and someone says I burned down my house, so be careful, be responsible. Put it at windowsills, put it at doorsteps. If you have cats that visit you, do not do this like we do. So I was looking at all the spots where we could put a candle. I'm like, I can't put a candle in any of these places. The cats are gonna... We have a lot of feral cats around here. It's like, you have to just kind of be... you're doing this process, yes, it's good for you, but be really kind to wildlife, and also do it responsibly, obviously. Everyone knows how to light a candle responsibly. So not by sheer curtains with the windows open, those will blow over them. It's things that people don't think about, but... So you offer the light, get it blessed, go through the house and bring that. If you want to do this with every single one, that's great. And then you can even leave the candles that are consecrated in each room. And it just kind of continues to burn out until it emits all of that energy through the space. So that is a way to prepare. If you want to chant like a particular mantra while you're doing it, you can say like Om Mahalakshmiye Namaha. If you want to say Mata, you can also. But Om Mahalakshmiye Namaha is kind of a simple standard chant to invoke that grace of Lakshmi, that principle of that consciousness of beauty and goodness and abundance, and just seeing how everything is so perfectly just as it is. So that's probably enough. So basically, clean up, take good care of yourself, and spend some time in deep contemplation and have the contemplation meditative state of mind where you're constantly invoking the light and utilizing light to remind yourself of this infinite light, this infinite consciousness. Each little candle is a little reminder of the infinite light, pure consciousness. So do your best at utilizing it as a practice, not as just a ritual to do and say, I did it, but as a meditative process where this is a part of your spiritual unfoldment. At the very least, the state of consciousness that you were in while you were doing this is the strong principle of invocation. That is what is inviting. So if you're doing the process, but you're thinking to yourself, I don't really want to be doing this, the consciousness of, I don't really want to be doing this is invoking what into the house. So if you can see what state of mind you bring to the process is what you're kind of bringing in, then it makes more sense. So, okay, so I realize that's a lot of things to focus on. Hopefully you jotted a few of those down. If you haven't, just jot them down now so you can remember, and then you can apply either tonight or tomorrow, whatever you want to do for your practice.
Can also send the recording tomorrow morning. Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, and we can make this recording available so then you can go back and say, what did he say?